Welcome back to the last phase of this teaching. After this teaching, we'll be entering into another topic. The invisible driver. Our title today is The Hidden System That Quietly Controls Your Action. The hidden system that quietly controls your action. There is a force influencing your action right now. It is not your effort. It is not your mood. It is not even your motivation. It is something far more consistent than all three. Something that operates whether you notice it or not. A silent internal system that continuously guides your behavior towards one specific destination. What you believe is true about yourself. Most people assume their action determines their result, but in reality, something deeper determines their result because behavior does not originate from willpower. It originates from identity. I repeat again. Behavior does not originate from willpower. It originates from identity. Your mind is always trying to remain consistent with the version of you that it believes you are. That belief acts like an internal reference point. Every decision, every reaction and habit is compared against it. If an action matches that internal identity, it feels natural. If an action conflicts it, it feels uncomfortable. Not logically, uncomfortable. Internally uncomfortable. That discomfort is powerful. It doesn't shout. It doesn't argue. It simply nuggles you back towards what feels consistent. This is why people sometimes sabotage their own progress without understanding why. It isn't because they want to fail. It's because success can feel unfamiliar. An unfamiliar state triggers correction. The mind prefers consistency over improvement, not because it dislikes growth, but because consistency feels safe. Imagine someone who internally believes they are not disciplined. If they suddenly begin acting with strong discipline, something unusual happens. Their belief and their self-perception no longer match. That mismatch creates tension, and tension demands resolution. There are only two ways for the system to resolve it. Either the person changes their self-belief or their behavior will return to match it. I repeat again. It's either the person changes their self-belief, what they believe about themselves, who they are, the normalcy, or their behavior will return to the usual. Most people unknowingly choose the second option. Not consciously, but automatically. They sleep, they delay, procrastinate, lose momentum, not because they lack ability, but because their internal identity has not yet changed. This is why effort alone rarely produces lasting transformation. Effort can change action temporarily, but identity determines what stays. Real change begins the moment identity shifts. When the internal picture of who you are updates, behavior begins aligning with it naturally. No force required, no strength required, no constant self-discipline. Because now your action and your self-perception agrees. Agreement creates ease. Ease creates consistency, and consistency creates results. This is the mechanism most people never see. They focus on controlling behavior while ignoring system that generates it. It's like trying to change the direction of a river by moving the water with your hands, which is not possible. It works for a moment, then the current resumes. But if you redirect the source, the flow changes automatically. Your internal identity is that source. It quietly determines what feels possible, what feels natural, and what feels realistic, and what feels out of reach, not based on reality, based on belief. And belief is not fixed. It can be updated, not through force, but through repetition of evidence. Every time you act in a way that contradicts an old identity, you introduce new data to the system. At first, the system resists, but repeated evidence creates familiarity. Familiarity creates acceptance. Acceptance creates new normal. And once something feels normal, the mind stops resisting it. This is when change becomes stable, not when you try harder, but when your internal model of yourself evolves. When that happens, something subtle shifts. You no longer feel like you are forcing growth. You feel like you are experiencing it. And that is the difference between temporal change and transformation. Because temporal change is effort-driven. Transformation is identity-driven. One fades when energy drops. The other remains even when motivation is low. Once you understand this system, you stop fighting yourself. You start working with yourself. And that is when progress stops feeling difficult and start feeling inevitable. If these teachings revealed something new about how your mind works, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our videos, and follow us on TikTok. The next chapter shows how to deliberately reshape this internal system so it begins working for you, not against you. Christ is the King. This is a wake-up call. Peace.